Okay, welcome everybody. We are going to be going over rule changes for high school season for this year. I emailed a PowerPoint. Everyone should have that. I'm going to share my screen and kind of just go through it. If you have any questions, please put it in your chat and I will get to it. I know I sent an email before with this, but this is slide number 8, and these are corrections to the rule book. So everybody should be going through their rule book and making these changes. Some of them are very minor and they don't make a big difference, and some do. So they're just editorial mistakes, I guess, in the book. So this page and that page, you should update, because a few times it says a coach on the floor is a 5/10 deduction, and it's not, it's a 3/10. And in one place it says 3, and another place it says 5. So they're making sure that you go through and change all the things that are wrong. I just took a red pen and I went through and just switched it so that I knew what it was supposed to be. It didn't take long. So I would start with that if you have not done that. Some of this stuff we're just going to fly through. Safety zone, obviously, it's just defining it, and they just want to make sure that the safety zone is against the board on all sides when you use it. Equipment, an alternate skill cushion may be used for timers only. Obviously, you can't use a pit pillow when you compete, and you can use for bar releases, and it must be removed immediately. Can't be used as landing mat, just for warm-ups. So let's see. Okay, officials, we know this. It's a reminder, no form of alcohol, tobacco, obviously. And equipment failure. So if there is equipment failure beyond the control of the gymnast may stop immediately and request permission for the chief judge to continue from the point of interruption after the problem is corrected. On floor, the gymnast may choose to complete the routine and then decide whether to resume the routine at the point of the music failure or accept the score given. The score, obviously, is not flashed until the decision is made. So if the problem was due to the responsibility of the gymnast may leave the equipment to fix the problem and then remount to continue. They will get a 5/10 deduction for a fall, and then have 45 seconds to fix the problem and remount. Improper uniform warning. They say this is a rule change. It really is just the same as USAG, so it's not going to be that different. I wonder if people are trying to get into the... Sorry, I'm just wondering if people are in the waiting room. Okay. So if there is something incorrect about someone's uniform, chief judge has to give a warning to the coach, and then the gymnast has the opportunity to correct it for the next event. If it is not corrected, it's a 2/10 deduction from the average score, and it's only taken once. I think it's the same as USA. So earrings, this is a new rule, and I don't know about you, but I'm very happy about it. Athletes may wear 1 stud per ear. Okay, so they can't have 3 going up. They can't have tiny hoops, but they can have 1 stud in each ear. I think that probably will make a lot of people happy. And then I won't feel like I have to be the earring police all the time. So that's exciting. Back-to-back superiors. This is also a rule change, which aligns now with USAG, that when there is a series that has 3 elements, say, the middle element can be used twice. I know in the past we could not do that, but now we can. So you can use the first and the second, and then the second and the third, provided that they all are worth, superiors or above that are eligible for bonus, I should say. And it has to be in a direct connection. These are some examples: long hand kip, giant, layout, flyaway. So you can combine those into 2 lower levels and 1 high level, back to back. On beam, they have backhand, layout, dismount. Again, you can do the backhand for a low level, and then the backhand for a layout for another low level. And then floor, the example is an aerial, round off, flick flack, salto back with a full, and you can do the first 2 for a low level, and then the middle and the last one for a Another low level. Why does that say low level? Oh, because it's superior. Got it. Just kidding. So on beam only, back-to-back superior credit includes dance elements. They have to come from groups 1, 2, or 3. So dance balances and body waves may not be used for back-to-back superiors on beam. And that's new. I'm going to mute everybody because I can hear people, although I'm not sure how to. You're off. Okay. So this is vault substances on the vault table and the hand placement mat. So you cannot use tape or chalk on the vault table. Tape is not permitted on the hand placement mat. Chalk may be used on the hand placement mat. So on the table, you can't use anything. More vault equipment, same thing, safety zone, we went through it. It needs to be placed against the board, the alternate. The pit pillows we already talked about. Yeah, we already talked about this one. So it's the same. Timing of the falls, they changed the wording. So I know that in the past it said 45 seconds from when the gymnast is back on their feet. However, they changed it a little bit to say that once medical assessment is complete. So obviously if the gymnast falls and then gets back on her feet but is being evaluated, you don't start the timer. And I think they just wanted to clear that up. So once she is standing and cleared for medical, then the fall time starts. A warning is given at 30 seconds. That will say 15 seconds remaining. On vault, obviously this procedure is followed after the first vault if there's a fall. Vault bars and beam, yeah, I already said that. Okay, so if she does not resume in 45 seconds, then the exercise is terminated. All right. Squat on the landing, this is a change. So the guidelines for the landing have changed. So if it is squat on the landing, hips are lower than the knees, it's an up to 310. And then this little diagram helps you determine how much you should take. All right, so if it's a squat position and then you fall, then the gymnast falls, then so you would take the up to 3/10 depending on where they landed, and then the 5/10 for the fall. So you would still take both. I see there's something in the chat. Is a pit pillow a new thing? This isn't an 8-inch scale. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't feel like we see pit pillows in Connecticut. Maybe it's something that's more prevalent in other states, but I agree. I didn't really know what it was, and I've never seen one. So I guess if you do see one, they can't land on it. Vault changes and execution. So the deduction for a hip angle for all vaults has increased from up to 2/10 to up to 3/10. The legs bent in support for all vaults with saltos and early tuck has increased from 2/10 to up to 3/10. The increases in deduction for hip angle and an early tuck allows for a wider range of the deduction to coincide with severity of the angle of the hip or the bent knees. Then under rotation vault, it used to be a flat 10th. Now it's an up to 1/10. Deduction for small, medium steps. So it's a 0.1 to 0.15. It was added to allow for a half a step instead of a full step. And obviously there's a max of 4 steps, max of 4/10. Squat on landing, which we just talked about as well. Gina asked, can the pit pillow be used during a routine for a release on bars? Yes, it can, but it must be removed after the release. I believe the slide said. Vault changes. So full on, full off is now a 10. It used to be a 9/8. Squat on was eliminated. I don't know how I sailed past that one. The squat on vault has been eliminated. Round off, flick flack on, repulsion off. It was an 8/8. It dropped to an 8. No, it is an 8/8. It was an 8/6, so it went up. Round off, flick flack on, half off. It was an 8/8. Now it's a 9/0. A souk back tuck with a half. It was a 9/8. Now it's 10. round off, flick back on, back tuck with a half. Also is now a 10. It was a 9-8. So those are just some things to maybe just highlight in your book. Why do they keep telling us about the zone? We got it. Okay, this is so alternate skill cushion, that pit pillow thing. It's used for bar releases. It's placed under the gymnast, immediately removed, may not be used on beam, or for anything else. So basically it's for timers on vault and bar releases. And that's all the notes on the bottom say for that one. Uneven bars. So the event requirements have changed slightly. They added a choice of a 360 clear hip, or a stalder or a pike sole circle, anything that ends in a clear support. So that was added, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but the turn, the 180 turn facing the other direction, that I believe is now in composition instead of an event requirement. I think everything else is the same. Composition, they definitely, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to go to that. Composition, they changed. I think they simplified it a little bit. It's lowered. So it used to be 1 point. Now it is 0.6. So they definitely wanted to make it a little easier to evaluate. On bars, there are 5 primary parts. So lack of variety of elements is an up to 2/10 deduction. There should be a variety of elements from different structure groups, such as hip circles, kips, giants, release elements, counter swings, circle swings, mount, dismount. The variety demonstrates the versatility of the gymnast. It is up to each judge how they will deduct for a lack of variety. Keep in mind, a specific number of elements is not required for variety. A specific difficulty level of the skills is not considered. Originality of skills is not considered. Also included in the lack of variety of elements is a deduction of 0.1 each of an uncharacteristic element performed. So I feel like that's confusing because it says it's in up to 2/10, but if she crawls to the bar twice, to the high bar, in my opinion, that would be 2/10, 1 for each time she crawls up, which is uncharacteristic. There's a very specific list of uncharacteristic elements in your book, in case you were wondering. It is on page 111. It is number 12. It says uncharacteristic skills on bars. It's a half turn on feet on the low bar. It is a leg cut that is not simultaneous. It's a V-sit on the low bar. It's a scale. It's climbing or crawling to the low bar, onto the low bar. It's jumping from low bar to support on high bar and continuing to fall forward to roll over the high bar. So they're very specific things that you can deduct that 1/10 for uncharacteristic for. Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay. Feel free to unmute yourself and let me know if someone has a question or anything. Okay, there must be 2 bar changes. If the routine contains no bar changes or only 1, then the flat 1/10 is deducted. Okay. Lack of using all spaces and levels is an up to 1/10. Did they go to the high bar? Did they use the inside, outside, top, and bottom of the bar? Lack of distribution is 1/10. And then lack of an element with a direction change. So that was moved from the requirements to composition. It's a flat 1/10. Either the routine has it or it does not. All right, moving on. Execution deduction changes. Again, this is with the steps. Each step is a 1/10 or a 1/10 and a half, max of 4 for the 4 steps. The hip angle is up to 3 on each event. On each event. And then the squat on the landing, which we talked about, it specifies exactly where the legs are and how much should be deducted. These are some element changes. So a new dismount has been added. Hold on, I think there's someone trying to get in. Okay. A new dismount has been added. It is the tap swings with a half turn, which isn't compulsory. So that is now a medium in the book, which is great because before it did not count as anything. And then high bar, flyaway, stretched also with a half twist is a high superior. I don't know why that's changed because I feel like that was always the same. Oh, it was listed incorrectly in the book before, so that's why. And then from the high bar, flyaway, tuck pike with a 1.5 twist is an advanced high. Okay, moving on to beam, if everyone's good with bars. Balance beam requirements, the turn on one foot is the same. Acro flight must start and finish on the beam. An acro series, superior dismount, and new is the dance series of difficulty, or they added a mixed series. So I feel like we used to have this a long time ago, an acro gym, acro and dance of difficulty on beam. So they can make some new combinations, which should be fun. So just as a reminder, a single element may fulfill more than one event requirement. A single element within a series shall not be used twice to fulfill 2 series requirements in event requirements. This sounds confusing, but flick, flack, wolf jump, you can use it to fulfill either the acro series or the mix series, but you cannot fulfill 2 requirements with that one series, if that makes sense. So I'm guessing hopefully they have something else that would fill, the dance series, and you could use that as the acro. Hopefully they don't make you decide that. But yeah, so if they have a series, it can only be used for one requirement. Not to be confused with the bonus, when there's more than 2 elements, you can use for more than one bonus. Hopefully that's not confusing. Beam composition, lack of variety in dance, it's an up to 2. The elements, acro elements should come from a variety of structure groups, flight, non-flight, hand supported, like rolls, wheels, acro, hold, stands, handsprings, walkovers, saltos. The dance should come from also a variety of different structure groups, leaps, turns, jumps, hops, holds, straddle, tuck, pike, wolf, cat, sheep, all those. Every structure and group and every shape does not need to be included, but a variety should be present. Lack of balance in quantity and level of acro versus dance is an up to 1/10 deduction. The quantity, the number of acro elements and dance elements in routine should be roughly the same. A one-sided choice of elements from either acro or dance may support a deduction. And additionally, the level of difficulty of the acro dance should be similar. Lack of an acro element in each of the 2 directions. So that is an up to 1/10 deduction. One direction has to be backwards, and then the other one can be forward or sideward. So if you have one that both start and finish on the beam, then you're good. Then there's no deduction. If either or one is missing, you deduct 1/10. And if both are included, but one is the dismount, you deduct 1/2 tenth. So they have to both be on the beam to not get that deduction. Hold on, sorry, more people in the waiting room. Okay. Moving on, a TikTok can count as a forward or backward. And a handstand has no direction, so it does not count for that. Wait, did I finish the composition? I just bailed in the middle of that. I bailed in the middle. No, I didn't. We're good. Lack of level changes and distribution is up to 1/10. Lack of artistry, choreography, quality of movement, expression, originality is up to 1/10. So beam deduction changes, the steps which we've talked about. Relax incorrect footwork and non-value parts of the exercise is now an up to 3 deduction. It used to be an up to 0.2. So that has changed. And then the landing we talked about. Beam bonus and note. So a single element in a series may count twice, which we talked about. So in a direct connection with 3 or more elements, the second element can be used twice, assuming that they all have value. So on beam only, when an advanced high acro is connected directly before or after to a superior acro element, it will receive a 0.2 as a high level back-to-back, and they can use mounts and dismounts. So, and it has to be an advanced high acro element that's directly connected to a superior acro. They both have to be acros. When awarding the back-to-back superior credit for dance, the elements must be from group 1, 2, or 3. And this is where dance and body waves, balances and body waves may not be used. As long as they come from group 1, 2, and 3, you're good. These are just element changes, and all these changes are in the book. In case I forgot to mention, all the changes in the book are highlighted, well, in gray. So that's how you know that they're changed. And in the beginning of the book, it gives you all the rule changes right away. It's like literally right across from the table of contents. It's a whole list of all the rule changes for the new book. So I'm not going to go through all of these unless you want me to, but I think we're good. Just make sure you take a look at them in your book. Okay, floor. So your requirements, twisting salto, at least 180, which has always been there, 3 acro passes, which it has to be 2 or more directly connected elements. Except for the round off, all the elements in a pass must receive value part credit. They can be in any of the 3 directions. A handstand with or without a turn has no direction unless it's completed as a front walkover or a handstand forward roll. And then a superior acro in the 3rd acro pass or as the last element. So it's still awarded if the pass is broken, and a series of front or back handsprings can be considered because it is a superior. For dance, 1 turn on 1 foot of at least superior difficulty, and then a dance passage that includes a minimum of 2 different group 1 elements directly or indirectly connected. Okay, it must include a superior and a leap. That can be combined if they do a switch leg, which is a superior and a leap, that's fine. But it still has to be 2 different group 1 elements. And in order to get the back-to-back credit, it has to be directly connected. So if it's indirectly, it fulfills a requirement, but is not eligible for bonus. Composition for floor, lack of variety of acro and dance, lack of balance in level and, in quantity and level of acro versus dance. Lack of an acro element within a pass in each of the 2 directions. Again, 1 must be backward. The 2 directions do not have to be in the same pass, and any acro element may be used to fulfill the 2 direction requirement, except a round up and a handstand. Lack of using the entire floor and distribution is only up to 1. Lack of artistry choreography, again, is up to 1. Floor execution. I think that a lot of these are just changes. So the steps in the incorrect footwork on non-value part, excuse me, hip angle, we already talked about that on the other slides. The poor relationship of music and movement throughout is an up to 0.3 deduction. New is failure to hold the ending pose for 1 second is a 0.05 deduction. The purpose of that is to clarify the point of conclusion of the routine. And then failure to end with music is a 1/10 deduction. The gymnast should end with their music. Once the music has stopped, whether the gymnast continues performing after the music has stopped or whether the gymnast stops performing, the music continues, is an indication that the music and the movement are not in sync with each other. I'm just checking to see if there's any more questions. No, we're good. Okay. Coach on the floor. I talked about this briefly. Coach on the floor inside the border marking is a 3/10 deduction. It was lowered. It was a 5/10, and in your book it still says it's 5/10 in some places. So make sure you change it. It's a 3/10. No deduction if the coach is on the floor to remove an object, and no deduction to adjust placement or remove additional matting. Other than that, it's a deduction. Bonus reminders, again, the single element in a series may count twice. We've been over this a bunch. superior, high superior, advanced high acro elements that are indirectly connected within one continuous uninterrupted acro path may also be given back-to-back superior credit. So front tuck, round up back handspring, back tuck, you can do the front tuck and the back tuck for a lower level 1/10 bonus. An advanced high superior acro element must be directly connected before or after to a superior salto, and then you get the high level back-to-back. So same as on beam. And then the reminder that I've already said, dance elements cannot be indirectly connected to receive back-to-back superior credit. Only the acro elements can be indirectly connected. The dance has to be directly connected. Floor exercise element changes. Split leap or jump 180 with a full turn is a high superior. It's not a change from last year. It was listed incorrectly on the chart. Stag, ring, jump with a full turn at head height is a high superior. And apparently there's a correction in that as well. And then ring jump full at head height is an advanced high superior. So those are the rule changes. I know I talked about the book. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, I think. Okay. So I talked about the book right in the beginning is the rule changes. So literally across the table of contents, you can find all the rule changes there. Everything's highlighted in gray. Points of emphasis has also moved to the front of the book right after the rule changes. So check that out. And then after that, there's meet management, and it's a little gray box down here. And it says to go to the NFHS website, and you can get inquiry sheets, which the coaches should be providing if they want to submit an inquiry. And there's also like event score sheets, and there's cue sheets. So there's like cheat sheets you can print out per event.
Lori,
yes.
Did you say you already met with the coaches?
I did.
So did you tell them that if they want to put an inquiry, they have to use an inquiry sheet?
Yes.
Because
We
they don't.
talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
So here's how we'll go over inquiries now. So here's how the inquiry works. If they have an inquiry, they need to fill out a sheet. They need to provide the sheet themselves, and they have 5 minutes from the event being finished, within 5 minutes of the event being done, to inquire. That doesn't mean they have to fill the form out. It means they have to say, I'm going to inquire about that routine. So as long as they tell you, they have more time to fill it out, because sometimes it gets hectic, but they can't come to you at the end of the next rotation and say, oh, I wanted to ask about that. They can't do that. And I know it's uncomfortable sometimes when a coach comes over and casually asks something, but we can't do it. So they need to fill out a form. I think there's a copy of it at the back of the book. And I believe they can only ask about certain things. So let's see. Yes. So inquiry concerns either the difficulty or the value, event requirements, neutral deductions, advanced high superiors, back-to-back superiors, or a mathematical error. So this is the form. It's in the book. They all know it. They all should have copies of it. So if they do have a question, they really need to fill these out. And I think we need to be better about being on the same page.
And they should go to the meet ref, right?
Yes, they should go to the meet ref. So typically there's only 2 judges on. In the arbiter, in the notes section that I do make visible to the coaches, it will say who the meet ref is. So if it's like Alice and I at a meet, it'll say Alice and Lainey meet ref. So if they even have a question on my event, they need to take that form to Allison. I do think it's okay if they're on the event that I'm on and they tell me I want to inquire about that girl. That's fine, as long as they tell somebody within 5 minutes. There's like a whole, oh, here it is, inquiries. A coach shall submit a written inquiry or a verbal intent to inquire with the meet referee within 5 minutes after all scores are recorded for that team for that event. For example, if a coach wants to submit a written inquiry on balance beam, but the team is immediately up on floor exercise, the coach may verbally notify the meet referee of intent to inquire. At the next earliest opportunity, the coach shall submit the written inquiry to the meet referee. Following the first failed inquiry submitted by the coach, any subsequent inquiry, with the exception of inquiries concerning mathematical errors that does not result in a score correction, shall result in a 0.5 team score deduction. So
Thank you. I'm still need clarification on the pit pillow. So
Maybe it's like a new thing. I don't know. I don't know anyone that has one, but I also
I
am
just
not a
looked it up
surgeon.
online
Yeah.
and it's actually a thing and it says pit pillow. So maybe it's a softer density. I just want
Yeah.
to make sure that they're not laying that they, most kids will land that they'll have an 8-inch skill cushion. They'll use it for dismount off beam or they'll use it for vaulting, 4-inch skill cushion or an 8-inch skill cushion. So to me, those are two different things, but I don't know if that's what you're saying, or are we saying you can't use a skill cushion?
No, I'm saying a pit pillow. It must be, I mean, they
Okay.
use that word. I'm guessing it's that brand, if that's what it is.
Okay.
Sue actually
Just, I'm going,
commented, Lorraine, GCAC has one. And I feel like now that she said that, I'm recalling it. It's like a much like thicker looking like crash mat. And it's like, I want to say it's like 10 inches, 12 inches thick.
Okay.
It's much larger than like a regular, like,
So they
8 inch.
can't land on that, but they can still land on a skill cushion.
Correct.
right.
Okay.
Yeah. The inquiry thing I read was on page 110, number 6, if you'd like to reference it. Are there any other questions regarding rule changes? Because I'm going to stop this recording so we can practice judge. Hold on, I'm checking the chat. Okay. Anything else? As far as rule changes. Okay. I'm going to stop recording. Thank you, everybody.